Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast. We discuss news and politics. And again, if you have not seen my latest, in my humble opinion, food stamps were just saved by a black woman. Her name, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, had an opportunity to allow the Supreme Court to rule on whether or not we get to eat cake. And instead of taking on that decision, she passed it back down, as is her job, and as is that court a more liberal one, and is more likely to deliver food stamps to the people that need it. Gotta have smart people on your team that don't have an ego. Morning to my wife Taylor, Stacy, Debs, Danielle. To the single person I've ever met in my entire life that says 60 plus thousand Palestinians killed does not equal a genocide. Well, now it's at 69,000. Easy. Nice. And not nice. Um, hey man, it's almost 70,000 people, all of the same descent, being killed by the IDF. That's a genocide. Just throwing that the fuck out there. Okay? Because yes, there still are people. Hmm. Happy Saturday. Hope you enjoy some time with your family and some college football or Saturday morning cartoons. Justice's Waiting Room. Sharing the show early today. A daily podcast discussing news and politics is live on Twitch and YouTube. Puppy toenails, yeah. You'll have that in a house full of dogs. Um, JWR is the hashtag. And as always, early and often, free Palestine, Slava Ukraine. But yeah, I didn't produce a piece of content yesterday because I was confused. And I was like, I don't know. Are they gonna get fucking food stamps or not? And I think they will. I don't believe that food stamps have gone out unless your state appropriated money out of its budget to cover that. So, and this means, and again, I like to point it out because I think it's important. Mostly white people are missing. And again, so you got to think all these liberal states that made sure all their SNAP beneficiaries got theirs. Okay, well, those are liberal states. Those are more likely to be diverse, right? This is stupid. What if I do this? I just don't like it. Like, if you're on Twitch, do you want me to turn my phone sideways or leave it straight up and down? Who watches shit vertically unless it's on TikTok? Anyway, there's a couple people in there. Y'all need to figure it out. Because it says it's going to be locked. So, like, if I turn my phone sideways, it's going to show up sideways. So, whatever. We're going to turn it this way because it doesn't look completely stupid. They have an arrest warrant for BB now. Went top dog with 2 4 pups coming under the law. If you do vertical live, the MAGAs are gonna swarm in. Taylor said, "Yeah, this looks stupid. But what if I do this? Don't do that. What if I do that? Is that better? You're not helping. So just turn it back vertical. Yeah, I don't mind if they see the ceiling. Like, I'm certainly not here to be looked at, babe. It's not, So there's people that won't watch a show without being able to see the person's face that's talking about it. All right, we got a missing foreign minister. Oh, if anybody had that on their bingo card. Okay. Yeah, she's trying to stay out of prison. So everybody that's watching Marjorie Taylor Greene try to slip out the back door, and they're like, "Wow, she's really wizened up." Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. She's she's a hack. She don't know what she believes. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's absence sets off alarm bells in Moscow. Let's read, shall we? Sergei Lavrov has been the face of Russian diplomacy for over 2 decades, so there's a lot of people that know this guy, and previously served as Russia's ambassador to the UN. He's an ugly motherfucker, too. Whew. News out of Moscow is a bit of non news. He's still in his job. He was the only permanent member of the Security Council to miss a meeting. The foreign minister will not be leading the Russian delegation in the G20 summit. Huh. Interesting little dive. If anybody, Mexico thwarted an Iranian plot to assassinate an Israeli ambassador. President no wars, everybody. I'd say it's a pretty big deal when the foreign minister who very close to Vladimir Putin's no longer making public appearances. All right, this is the first thing this chuckle fuck has said that I agreed with. Putin must know that nuclear war can never be won. crusty old motherfucker hanging on to his hairline. Oh, sorry. And when we talk about inefficient, right? Here's a story of the Daily Europe News. A Russian drone strike on eastern Ukraine tower block leaves 3 people dead and 12 injured. I just don't think that's like an effective form of warring. You know what I mean? I'm looking for more green on green action. You ever notice how Ukraine is fucking completely dismantling Russia's ability to move? And then Russia's response is, "Oh yeah, how about this rocket attack on this apartment building?" And it's like, well, those are civilians. That's a war crime. Are you are you fighting in a war? Or are you just trying to have the longest trial at the ICC ever? I saw my first freaking out about healthcare, and I know you're gonna laugh at me. I saw my first social media post freaking out about healthcare. Um, Somebody said, my husband came home from work and he said, "You libs are all up in arms about shit. Our monthly cost is only going up by $10." As somebody who worked in healthcare for like 5 years, that number doesn't even matter. The maximum out of pocket is what matters. What's the difference in the maximum out of pocket? And I just want to point out that the video I watched, she said, well, our out of pocket, maximum out of pocket cost was $2,500 a piece. That's $5,000 that they would have to pay out of pocket, and then their health care covers the rest. 10 grand, right? No, 5 grand total. Okay. And now it's 7,500 a piece. So instead of, if the worst thing in the world happens and we both get into a car accident, we would have to pay out $5,000 maximum. Now it's 15,000. So, guess we're all going the speed limit with our fucking blinkers on. Didn't the Nordisk Pfizer wins $10 billion bidding war for Metsera as Novo Nordisk exits? Isn't Nordisk's CEO the guy that passed out in Donald Trump's office? Huh. That's weird. We cannot do that. No one has the money for this. People were already living paycheck to paycheck. Do you actually think they're also going to pay the $10,000 more it costs when their fucking healthcare doesn't work? Or whatever? Pay for the insurance you can't afford to use, yeah? Jailed UK climate protesters facing conditions reserved for extremists on release. So just look at how the government protects business and jails opposition for speaking out. Trump gave Hungary a 1 year exemption from Russian energy sanctions. So Donald Trump, even though the whole world's not allowed to buy Russian oil, Vladimir's buddy Viktor Orban in Hungary, they can. That's not crooked as fuck. Ooh. lift up my coffee and hit my monitor. Caught coffee all over my keyboard. Is it Tuesday? Anyway, Beijing protests after Taiwan's number 2 leader makes a shock speech. Ooh. Too bad we can't see what they said. Man, I'm kind of relieved. I, I was, like I said in the video I made this morning, my gabbers were flaccid. I was unsure if people were actually getting their fucking food stamps. That shit makes me sick to my stomach. It makes it hard for me to eat, right? Because I have empathy. And I look at people that I'm like, oh, fuck, you were eating like shit anyways. They're going to ban mercury in dental amalgam. I'm going to go ahead and guess if you're only supposed to eat fish a few times a week, that you probably shouldn't have mercury in your mouth when you get dental work done. I know. I know. In the most no shit political decision in history, um, Azerbaijan will only send peacekeepers to Gaza if the fighting stops completely. Want to vow? You know what I was just thinking about? I cannot believe that somebody sat in my audience for fucking months. Months was a part of our community and totally thinks Antifa is like an organization and that they are responsible for rioting and looting that actually happened on planet Earth. Just, just making sure. Months! Just months and just like randomly blurted it out one day. Yeah, and Antifa's real. And you're like, did the fuck shut? What? Who runs that shit? Well, I don't know. Didn't happen. Oh, I saw it with my own eyes. Baby girl. The fuck you did. Anyway, batshit insane. Exactly. Yeah. Can't save them all. And if you did, you'd be hoarding. Haha. Volodymyr Zelensky says Viktor Orban won't stop Ukraine's path to Europe, just like Russia failed to. I think Hungary is going to try to get in the way of the Ukraine joining the UN and NATO. Turkey issues genocide arrest warrants against Netanyahu and other Israeli officials. Man, does that just roll off the tongue? No shit, they said. You can see how this might be a problem. Tanzania charges hundreds of people with treason after protests over disputed elections. Prosecutors in Tanzania on Friday charged more than 200 people with treason over their alleged roles in deadly violence surrounding the city's disputed election, which saw President Samia Suluhu Hassan win a second term with more than 97% of the vote. it's a little crazy to see a political candidate get 97% of the vote. I think I think it's a little wild. A little wild. All right. Despite Israel's bid to shutter it, the UNRWA resumes teaching in Gaza as kids hit the books amid rubble. 97% is crazy. See, look at us. Look at us not fucking up the rule of large numbers, right? You are allowed to see a number and go, are elections that fucking lopsided? No, they're not. Who the fuck votes 97% for a candidate? What? And then charges the people protesting that with treason, which is a non bailable offense. So they're just stuck in fucking jail, right? Ooh. Ooh. I mean, this is why wars start. K-pop idols to form Korea's first labor union could launch by the end of the year. Would you look at that? From K-pop to labor union. Weapons cache linked to Hamas found in Vienna by Austria's intelligence service. And what does this mean? You know what? You know what part of the problem is? Not gonna lie, Russia names their shit stupid. That's part of it. Drones hit key Russian petrochemical plant in Republic of Man, Bashkortostan. Oh boy. Zeke said, I haven't got into the K drama to get into the Thai drama. Wait. Donald Trump's going to be pissed. Spain dismantles its first suspected cell of Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang targeted by Donald Trump. Oops! First time one of its cells has been dismantled. Way to go, Spain. Hey, you want to know how we all die? Okay. AI is being used to design antibiotics that can combat drug-resistant superbugs, gonorrhea, and MRSA. Good luck, everyone. Good luck. They're gonna fuck that up. Oh, how did you die? MRSA. Yeah, yeah. I love people that write articles, but they're fucking stupid. Just so you all understand. Um, Great Barrier Reef may partially recover from grim future if global warming stays below 2 degrees Celsius in the most no shit, no fucking shit. We're already over 1.5 C. 2 is in the fucking rear view. Like, I think you shouldn't be allowed to write. They're just lying to you, telling you everything's going to be okay, and lulling you right back to sleep. Lana Lamb. I think no, we didn't talk about this. There was a yeah, I think 22 hours ago. Huh. Odd timing, and I thought we talked about it, but it's not that you can't use AI and AI bad. Okay. Poland to train 400,000 citizens in largest military readiness drive since World War II. Hey, Poland is standing up 400,000 of its citizens to prepare them. Them Israelis can't go nowhere in good. France arrests 4 people over protest at Israeli orchestra concert. As it should. Russia maintains a network for conducting hybrid warfare in Europe. Sleeper agents. Guy, the campaign from the last Call of Duty. Was it the last Call of Duty? Was that the one? Jesus Christ, the story writing is so awful that it's hard to remember. But I think there was one about MK Ultra and Russian double agents and shit. Yeah, yeah. Brazil records biggest annual fall in emissions in 15 years, notably thanks to the fight against deforestation. From Le Monde. Ukraine secures 25-year deal for regular U.S. gas supplies. U.S. liquefied natural gas. U.S. gas to Ukraine. So that's the next 25 years. Oh no. Everybody's missing family members. Aid workers account from Sudan as thousands unaccounted for after fleeing El Fasher. What about the kids? Somebody posted a video of Rachel Maddow breaking down in tears. I think it was from 2018 though, over kids being separated from their parents and just like stuffed in a locker, stuffed in a holding area together where it's like a bunch of kids and you're like, well, there's no adults. The kids are left to fend for themselves. These kids don't even know each other. Remember, the cruelty and chaos is the whole point. Hmm. Yep. Aerial attacks by Russian forces killed 9. Set ablaze a shop. Yeah, again, they're killing civilians though. You're losing a war. Full stop. When you are regularly targeting civilians, you're not winning a war. Russian governor appeals to Moscow for fuel as Ukraine strikes another oil facility. Yeah. So fucking unimaginably cruel. So check. Look, you see how dumb he is. Little Viktor Orban, and he's gonna take what Viktor Orban says as fucking Bible and say Viktor Orban told me Ukraine can't beat Russia on the ground, and that it takes an understanding of the situation, and not you can't just have an opinion. You have to actually know what you're talking about. Oh, and you think Viktor Orban does? Viktor Orban just agreed to do business with Russia. He has a vested interest in Russia winning. If Russia can get Ukraine to lay down their arms at all, it's over. AI soldiers. Be aware. Be aware of deepfakes. Yep. As somebody who's studied data analytics, I concur with the title of this article. Earth cannot sustain intensive fossil fuel use. Fin. Brazil launches a global fund to reward the protection of rainforests. Ooh. Ooh. Germany. Euro News. Germany receives a new Poseidon flying Sentinel jet to hunt down Putin's submarines. P-8A Poseidon. Hey, that's pretty cool. Submarine hunter. You gotta remember, y'all, I went to Purdue University and studied flight, wanted to be an astronaut, so I'm gonna have a little bit of a lean towards like planes and stuff. Wow. So, hey, I'm putting this out there before it ever happens. Russia's gonna attack Poland. You wanna know how I know? Poland's standing up 400,000 of its just like regular citizens and turning them into their military. And then the U.S. is boosting Poland's missile arsenal by $100 million. So do you think maybe during some pillow talk, Putin told Trump Poland's next? Or am I just spitballing here? I frequently know what the fuck I'm talking about. I mean, I mean, 400,000 people, $100 million from missiles. You think maybe Donald Trump kisses and tells? China suspends some export controls on critical minerals but retains others. Okay, okay. I'm with it. Denmark's government aims to ban access to social media for children under 15. I'm with it. Yeah, if you think you're having a bad time in Ukraine, keep this in your mind. They attacked Ukraine, who's not a member in NATO or the UN. They put 40,000 UN troops in the Ukraine. They're they're not a member. What do you think happens when you attack Poland? Oh baby. Oh baby, it's Article 5 yesterday. Uh-huh. And remember, Vlad is saying fuck it, let's start shooting nukes. And again, the missile defense system. They're gonna shoot that shit out of the air. They're gonna capture it in a bubble. Some shit. I'm telling you, there's no. Okay, okay. This is what you can use a robot for. Ukraine built a robot to rescue a Ukrainian soldier trapped 33 days behind Russian enemy lines. The Mall ground drone. Enemy mines and drones waiting. Oh, it's sweet. So you get inside of it, and it takes you out of harm's way. It's like a armored cart. Think like a armored shopping cart. And you put your ass in it, and it takes you. So you could be getting small arms, receiving small arms fire, and it's like a little tank. Ha! That's actually pretty rad. Like Reuters, U.S. intel found Israeli military lawyers warned there was evidence of Gaza war crimes, former U.S. officials say. Yeah. It's like a rescue wheelbarrow. You know what I mean? A new system to identify and take down Russian drones is being deployed to NATO's eastern flank. Yeah, because they have no concept of how hard it is to fight a war. Remember how the U.S. just exempted Hungary from the Russian sanctions? Ukraine's saying they ain't never buying your oil. They ain't never happening. Canada gains a surprise 67,000 jobs in October, beating economists' expectations. World's biggest polluters are no-shows at start of UN climate summit in Brazil. This is silly. Manufacturers are lined up to ship Tomahawks to Ukraine. Mm-mm-mm. All right, so Ukraine spent the last couple months in Pokrovsk and recorded 25,000 Russian dead. Turned Pokrovsk into a mass grave. All right, let's switch over to U.S. news and politics. James Watson, who discovered who co-discovered DNA's double helix, died. He was 97 years old. Pretty wild, right? Doesn't it feel like human beings just got here? The guy that co-discovered the double helix in your DNA just died at 97 years old. Discovered in his lifetime, in the last 100 years. It feels like we just got here. We're just babies. I don't get driving while streaming. It seems even dumber than driving while being on a phone, or like driving while talking on the phone. Zion, where's this at? Lake McHenry, is that in Texas? Zion, oh, it was Waukegan, Illinois. Darren Lucas. Trump pardons New York baseball star Darryl Strawberry for his tax evasion conviction. A mayor of a small town in Kansas was charged earlier this week for allegedly voting in multiple elections despite not being a U.S. citizen. Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach and Kansas Secretary of State Scott Schwab filed 6 charges against Mayor Joe Ceballos in Comanche County. Ceballos is the mayor of Coldwater and is described as a lawful permanent resident from Mexico who allegedly voted in 22, 23, and 24. And I'm guessing. Hold on. I'm just guessing. Mayor Joe Ceballos. Democrat or Republican? Who is he? Anybody? Just curious. Anybody know? Re-elected. Doesn't say. That makes it kind of wild, right? When I can't find out if the guy's Republican or Democrat, what do you think that usually makes him? I'm just asking a question. If I told you that a mayor named Joe from Kansas voted in 3 consecutive elections illegally, would you, off the top of your head, would your brain go, probably a Democrat? Or is he a Republican? And you know how I know he's a Republican? Because there's absolutely zero connection between him and the Republican Party from a Google search. That's wild. Why is there zero connection between Kansas Mayor Joe Ceballos and his political party? Is it likely the Democrats are going to denounce a mayor and he's not Democratic Mayor Joe Ceballos? Oh, no, 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 no. He's definitely a Republican. Definitely took away all his party affiliation. This is going to get racist quick because his last name's Ceballos. I can promise you. It's not going to be pretty. Not going to be pretty. The DOJ has been firing judges with immigrant defense backgrounds. I'm just saying, if he were. Good morning, Aliana. If he were. Yeah, Kansas is pretty red. I'm just saying, if he were a Democrat, I think his shit would say Democrat. I think the Democratic Party owns its mistakes and it reforms its players and it returns them to the field. You know what I mean? Whereas a Republican, they denounce you first. They take all affiliation away. They're not ours, so they can float. hmm I'm telling you, don't fly. Don't fly. Here's why. Yeah, you know it's not gonna be a big news story, so that it confirms that's a Republican. Hmm? Fox News would be lighting it up. Look at the Democrats and how fucking corrupt they are. Instead, crickets. Why? No, monocrystal. All right, so among the last information I heard about food stamps, correct me when I'm wrong. Okay. Supreme Court issues emergency order to block full SNAP food aid payments. Now, from what I've read and heard, two judges said, Don, you got to pay them SNAP benefits for November. We got a fund set up for it. Donald Trump issued or he asked for a stay, and he basically is trying to push it to the Supreme Court, which would rule in his favor. And the only reason that this stopped is because of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is in charge of emergency rulings, looked at the potential ruling on SNAP benefits and said, let's push that back to the lower liberal court. They're more likely to get the outcome they're looking for rather than have the Supreme Court take this issue up. Hmm? So, again, the majority of people who have not received food stamps are white right now. Because, again, I want to point out Democratic states and cities set aside money to pay their people's benefits. And who do you think lives in cities? Not fucking white people. Exactly. hmm And the hardest hit places, as I've said, the foothills of Virginia and West Virginia, the Appalachians, the deep south, that's Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and the interior Northwest. So, not Washington, Oregon, California, which you would think with all them people that live in Cali that they would have a huge amount of people on food stamps, and Idaho, fucking Wyoming. Yeah, yeah. The interior Northwest has a huge amount of people on food stamps. All white. So, like I said, the percentage, the disparity of people that are going without right now, the majority of those people are white. I would probably say 80%. And it's not just because white people make up the majority of people that get food stamps. And you know what's fucking funny about this? And I'm just gonna say it as I've never been on food stamps. Been on unemployment. Okay. Now keep in mind, you should never be ashamed of being on unemployment or food stamps. It's your money. That's what you pay into the system for. It sucks being on it because it don't pay shit. You get a job at a fucking grocery store making money, more money than you'd make working at a fucking, or not working and taking fucking unemployment. Okay. And I noticed that, are you ready for this? Unemployment plus food stamps is still not $500 every Friday. It's short of that. Still. Hmm. How do I know? Because I was on unemployment and then I got a quote for food stamps and I did the math and it was less than $500 a week. And I thought, oh, so you got to jump through a bunch of fucking hoops for not even $500 every Friday that the president can decide you're not worth. He could take away SSDI and Medicare and Medicaid and food stamps and fuck up your health care. I think the pendulum swings back the other way. I think 33 of 34 developed countries have universal health care, including all the healthcare providers that make billions of dollars all over the world managing healthcare, could just charge you nothing. They do. All of these healthcare companies have dual special needs plans, D-SNP. I worked in healthcare. Those dual special needs plans are for people to have Medicare and Medicaid. And when you look at the flyer, you're going to be like, wow, he's right. $0 a month, $0 copay, $0 for meds, thousands of dollars in benefits for dental, vision, and hearing. They'll even give you money every month for food and groceries. Hey, guess what? I think you ought to get that too. Not only do I think the government should give everybody $500 every Friday, I think you should have really good fucking health care. One, it already exists. So, for all of you that are like, there's no good health care out there, is. There is really good health care out there. You usually have to be really broke to get it. You have to have Medicare and Medicaid in order to get it. I think we should just all get it. I think fuck all these billionaires. I think that we should stop playing corporate welfare. I don't think that the government should meddle in business. I certainly don't think that the President of the United States should have a CEO in the Oval Office pass the fuck out. And when asked about him, I don't think that the President should say he should have given the U.S. government a stake in his company. Because that's communism right there. There we are. We went from fascism straight to communism. How did we know that was going to happen? And of course, Donald Trump doesn't mean that the US government will own a stake of Nordisk. He meant himself. So I just want to continue to point out that what happens when you illegally win an election and force your way into office and do some communist shit. Do you believe with your heart of hearts that Donald Trump's going to spread the wealth evenly and we're going to have a classless society and it's going to be nirvana? Or no? Because he don't give a fuck about me or you. So what do you think is going to happen? I think we all know that this is just another example of communism failing. Why? Because when you wrest power, meaning like you didn't earn it, he didn't earn it. He cheated in an election to get into power. His power is illegitimate. In order to legitimize his power, he has to feel powerful. I gotta tell you, he's not powerful. Fighting with the Supreme Court over food stamps, not powerful. Using the might of the U.S. military to shoot some people, shoot some fishermen on some boats. It's not powerful. All while being afraid of Vladimir Putin and and, and trying to be his buddy and shit. You know, when you're the president, you aren't anyone's friend. You're more like an advisor to a whole ass country and then probably to a whole nother ass country. You're advising them. That's your role as president. You're trying to get along. God, that man's ugly inside and out. I can't wait till he dies. I hope they eat all the meat off his bones. I hope they take everything he's got. Soon as he's gone, them kids think they got away scot free and they're just gonna go build resorts in Gaza and shit and live out the rest of their lives. Aw, this is cute as fuck. As milk prices dropped, these Minnesota farmers put their cows out to cuddle. That's cute as hell. Quincy Smith Schmidt is a co-owner of a dairy farm in the town of Corcoran, which her grandfather bought in 1958. We have a special podcast when he goes. Oh, I'll probably take the fucking day off. When Donald Trump dies, oh, I'm repainting my house. I'm just kidding. Oh man, maybe I can get my wife to get drunk with me. You know what I mean? She's fun when she drinks. Yo, they are floundering around. The worst people in the world, your oppressors, weak as fuck, man. They suck. This is just some whole ass bananas. Bananas. Hegseth is purging military leaders, firing judges. Remember, they're doing all of this to try to elicit violence from. They're trying to elicit a violent reaction so they can justify, um, God, martial law, the Declaration of the Insurrection Act. That's the whole reason. So the thing, watch, it's the same kind of reaction will happen. Like I read an article. I think it was this morning, might have been yesterday. That might have contributed why I didn't make a video yesterday. I read an article where it already said like hundreds of thousands of children have already starved to death because of the cuts to USAID. So the damage is already done. I want to continue to point out that means that Donald J. Trump, between COVID and the cuts to USAID, has killed over a million people. Yeah, that's why they're hiding on military bases. Hmm. What do you think happens? I'll never forget the people telling me, "Oh, nothing will happen." Man, they're not going to overturn same-sex marriage. What? What? Supreme Court to weigh long shot bid to overturn same sex marriage precedent. CNN Politics. I hate to say I told you. And the pending appeal comes from one of the ugliest fucking people you'll ever learn about in your life. And the only way anyone will remember her is for how awful she is, so we won't even say her fucking name. Uh, Mark Sanchez stabbed someone in my city, went to jail, and got fired. And all of those things, except for him getting stabbing somebody, should have fucking happened to him. 7 people were hospitalized yesterday after a package with white powder was opened at Joint Base Andrews. I'm waiting for a terror attack. Yeah. Home to the President's Air Force One. I want to know why 7 people were involved with opening this package. You don't have a fucking mop suit? You don't have one of those containers you put shit in and then you insert your hands into the gloves, open the fucking thing without getting it on you? No, we just like open packages and let the fucking white powder. Gonna be a fucking great day, Tater. No? Oh my god. I mean, I guess this is one way to make your run for it. 3 employees of a Louisville facility among those missing after a UPS plane crash that looked like hell's fury. Manfred Goldberg, who was a Holocaust survivor. He died at 93 years old. Born into an Orthodox Jewish family in Germany. Hey, there's one thing about old people that it fucking irritates the shit out of me. It's something that I want to change as someone who's going to be an old. Gotta get some fucking sun, man. Some of these old men look like they're transparent. And I don't mean transparent in the good way. Like, oh, he's really easy to understand and have a conversation with. No, I mean you can fucking see through the motherfucker. You see through his cheeks to his teeth. Like, get some sun, you fucking weirdo. God. Ooh. Somebody said the plane was sabotaged. Probably. JP Morgan got slapped with a $52 million fine from German financial watchdog. I don't know if the plane was sabotaged. I don't know if we're there yet. You know what's really fucking wild? You know what's really wild? There have been like a whole bunch of airplane crashes, and I honestly couldn't tell you what happened with any of those. And I like pay attention to that shit. Where are the investigations on all these fucking airplane crashes? Don't you guys remember? Not a year ago, not even a year ago, a fucking army helicopter was flying incredibly low over the Hudson River and all of a sudden decided to gain 200 feet of fucking altitude and flew straight into an airplane. Do y'all remember that? Did we get an investigation out of that? Did we ever get the results of that? No. Huh. I wonder why. I wonder if Elon Musk hacked the telemetry data and fucked up the air traffic control system, ATCS. Anyway. Yeah. So you gotta get some fucking sun, some vitamin D. You look like you're gonna fly away. You turn into a ghost. Hey, in the Bay Area, they have the first female battalion chief had to file a lawsuit against the city. Got paid out $1.7 million over gender discrimination. Somebody asked me an airplane question. You just know how to tickle me. They reported the engine fell off completely before it crashed. What would cause that to happen? Smartest ass shit I've ever said in my life. Tr- Blunt force trauma to the engine itself. Meaning, like, on the way down, it clipped something. Probably. Full disclosure, I didn't watch the entire airplane crash, so I didn't know that an engine fell off before it crashed. I'm willing to bet it struck a building. Hmm. Or like a telephone wire or something on the way down. Because that would also turn it on its side, the heavy side down. I'm assuming it landed heavy side down, like on one wing. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any. I've seen the explosions, like a Michael Bay film. I didn't actually see the crash. Yeah, yeah, that's a lie. I saw a still. It's not the same thing. But I saw the plane crashing, fat side down, the engine side down. So it was missing an engine on the off wing, on the high side wing. I'm guessing it clipped something. Think about it. They're both bolted onto the wing with the same level of, and it's like, for what reason would one of those motors fall off? Trauma to the wing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of those people you'll never hear me go to conspiracy theory first. I'm always gonna be like, why would a wing fall off? Both those engines are fastened on the same to each wing. Plane is crashing. It looked like it crashed at low altitude, meaning like instead of crashing like this, it crashed like this. Does everybody understand the difference between a high-low and a halo? But when you crash and it looks more like a landing, so you got to think like it's much lower to the ground. If there's like a malfunction, the plane's not flying straight. So that means like you could have a one wing down, one wing up kind of situation where you're rocking back and forth. Think, you ever watch Top Gun and you watch Merlin try to land a plane when he's having a panic attack, and you see how he's like, it looks like he's on a boat going towards a boat. Um, that could happen when the plane's like crashing and the pilot's jerking the fucking stick back and forth trying to miss shit. One wing gets high, one wing gets low, and clips something, and then knock a fucking engine off. And that's about the logical way to think about it. Now, there was a fucking explosive planted, and it blew up, and that's what caused the crash. I don't fucking know that. We ain't never seeing that shit. I can fucking promise you that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm pretty positive it was on takeoff. Oh yeah, so I can even fucking tell you more, and I wasn't even there. But the plane was too heavy, and Louisville's airport's not that big. And I'm not saying that the runways are shorter. I'm saying like the space is smaller. So I could see a situation where, and that was a FedEx jet. FedEx jet's overloaded. Guys pull back on the stick all the way, meeting all the numbers otherwise, got plenty of lift, go to take off. But again, they were at a low altitude when they crashed. So they clipped something. Yeah. Hey, I like talking airplanes. Jesus fuck. The U.S. sold sniper rifles to Brazil police unit tied to deadly raid. Rio Rio police purchased the guns. 121 people dead. Holy shit. I wonder if Donald Trump did that or did Joe Biden do that? Speaking of sniper rifles. About 15 minutes left, y'all. Make sure you have a good weekend, whether it's Saturday morning cartoons like Creature Commando or college football. I'll be cheering for my Miami Hurricanes, who've decided to lose the last 2 weeks. All right, looks like a judge has permanently barred Trump from deploying National Guard troops to Portland in response to immigration protests. Uh, when you say Jared, 100 plus people died in Rio after the U.S. sold them sniper rifles. Okay, how many of those were bad guys in the favelas of those 120? Six. How many were under 18-year-old children who were just caught? The FBI informant who lied about the Bidens covertly released from jail. Alexander Smirnov pled guilty to lying to the FBI and was sentenced to 6 years in jail. Yeah, I saw that. I thought for a moment, I thought I was due last night. I was like, I was at work yesterday, and I started sniffing a little bit, and Taylor starts sniffing a little bit, and I thought like one of us is gonna get sick. And it was like, I'm gonna take the night off. I'm gonna relax. I'm not gonna stress myself at all. I'm trying to get as much rest as possible so I feel good in the next day. Now, got plenty of sleep, feel good, but yeah, the the word on the street is that the president is avoiding fully paying SNAP benefits. Yeah, that was one where he was holding his baby and they were fucking with him in his car and he went into convulsions. That was, again, I'm just like anyone else. I'm an unaffected person too, right? And so that was part of the reason I just couldn't make a video yesterday. It was just like I couldn't square up whether or not SNAP benefits were going to get paid out. I couldn't figure out if it was going to happen or not, if it had happened or not, right? And then watching like that video of that dad holding his kid and them and him like going into fucking convulsions, just some shit you can't unsee, man. And there's people cheerleading this, but there's very few of them. And I want to continue to point that out for everybody that feels like the person to their left and their right, there's a 50-50 whether or not they support this shit. And I want you to know that it's more like there's going to have to be 5 or 6 people, maybe one of you will be a Trump supporter. And I want you to remember that. It's very rare you'll be in a room full of Trumpers, unless it's by choice. Editing federal employees' emails to blame Democrats for shutdown violated their First Amendment rights. Yeah, I know, so did I. I found it really weird that a mayor is nonpartisan. You can't elect people that being an elected official is a pay cut for them because they're going to try to make money beyond any shadow of a doubt. Here's every angle of Donald Trump falling asleep during a press conference. The Roaring Twenties. Air Traffic Controller Union head. Air traffic controllers are resigning due to shutdown stress. Man, it makes me not unhappy that I did not just spend the last 20 years as an air traffic controller. Not fucking unhappy. Unhappy in that I'm pro union. I would have been a really good air traffic controller because I fucking love flight and shit. Um, and would have been a leader in air traffic control, would have been a big NACA guy, you know. I'll be the one saying, don't be a fucking scab, like my old man. My old man couldn't be friends with anyone. My whole life, my father did not have any friends. No one that my dad went to school with, or was in the military with, or was in college with, or worked with, ever just like stop by, say hi, or we're friends. And every coworker or classmate or someone that knew who my old man was would take me the fuck aside. Hope you know who that man is. I live with him. Okay. That was about the interaction with a lot of adults that were like my daddy's age bracket. hmm Donald Trump said he doesn't want to hear about affordability anymore. Hey, I'm on board with you all, right? As someone who consistently makes a piece of content trying to keep people abreast of the situation, I was unable to do so yesterday. There was just I was just confused. I was like, I don't want to be reporting shit that I don't know about. I don't know if people are going to get fucking food stamps. It's hard to want to talk about something and just not have good enough info about it. And say, I got to make a decision as a human being. Like, am I going to get out there and cheerlead? Hey, yeah, food stamps are going to get fucking paid. And they don't, and I look like an idiot. Or, hey, two judges said, gotta pay them fucking food stamp benefits, Don. And Don protested that, like formally in a court. And he wants the Supreme Court to make it so he can do that. But it just so happens Ketanji Brown Jackson is in charge of emergency rulings, and she pushed that ruling back down to the first superior, which means, which is a more liberal court, is going to get the answer that we're looking for. And this means that, remember, this completely fucks up the Republican Party. The Republican Party shut down the government, and they're using food stamps to try to make sure they get the cuts to health care that they want. Now they're going to lose their leverage. Donald's going to have to pay food stamp benefits. And now they will have closed the government to fight over food stamps. Food stamps are health care. And now the food stamps are going to get paid, and now Republicans have no leverage at all. The government shut down, they have enough votes to open it, and they didn't. All to cover up the Epstein files, Which, the more information comes out on this, it's really bad for Donald Trump. Obvious. The most obvious shit ever. Somewhat of a surprise, but I mean, not really. The persistence of Vladimir Putin and Bibi on the Epstein files. That's all you need to know. In terms of why is Donald Trump trying not to pay food stamps in November? Because it's the month of Thanksgiving. And it makes him look like a super cruel leader. Like he wants to be like Hitler. He doesn't want to be loved. He wants to be hated because he understands it. But he's a fucking loser and an idiot, and they're gonna lose, and people are gonna get their fucking food stamps. And then it would just be the Republicans shut down the government, lost their leverage, and now what? Yeah, it's just like do you remember me making a video where I talked about the big beautiful bill, and I said millions of people are going to die unnecessarily. You are going to walk all of those cuts all the way back. All of them. The ACA cuts, cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, you're walking all that shit all the way back. Watch. Watch. By the time this shit's over with. Hmm? Hmm? And in the process, dude, the Republican Party is dead. Dead in the water. Lost like 56 of 60 of the last elections. Went 0 for 18 on election day, and before that had lost 38 of 41 or 42, depending on how you look at it, elections prior. 38 and 18 is what? 56 of 60. They're like 94% to win right now. Democrats are going to dog walk Republicans, and my fear is just with how split up they are, with how broken up the Democratic Party is, and how they are inclined to argue amongst themselves. It could lead you to a uniparty, and it could lead you to ineffective leadership that they don't have a platform. So they're just like, hey, we're not as bad as them, right? We'll make sure everybody gets to keep their shit. And the Democrats are going to become the new Republicans. Remember, I told you if you go look up the definition of conservatism, one of the understandings of being a conservative is preserving institutions. Not business, but things like SNAP, food stamps, these are things Republicans would want to keep in place because they want to continue to see businesses like Walmart succeed. And one of the ways they can continue to succeed is continue to pay its labor so little, and that can be funded by food stamps. And that will keep that business growing. By the way, what happens when Walmart comes into your community? It destroys all the small businesses. It makes your the people poor, and then they run your town out of money and leave. And then you have this big eyesore of a building in your community that's no good anymore. Ask me how I know. Because I grew up in a town that lost its fucking Wally World. Monrovia, I believe, was right next to us, and they got an Aldi. They got an Aldi, and it went out of business. And it's the same thought process. When like a big box store comes into your community, what does it do? Kills all the other small stores. Hmm? And then when they don't make enough money and they leave, what do you have now? A big parking lot? A big warehouse style building that nobody can use? Hmm? A little bit of eat the rich, a little bit of weather. Let's get out of here. Saturday. Loving an elevator. Alright, Yawbot says, bang. Central part of the country looks like some freeze warnings down here in the south. Maybe we'll get a different, I don't know. Looks like there's a big storm in Iowa, snow up in Minnesota, the Dakotas, up into Montana. Some rain off the eastern seaboard up in the northeast part of the country. There's some rain in Georgia, South Georgia, and some rain in the Gulf of Mexico. Other than that, again, another pretty clear day. It looks like the weather intensity is low now. It's going to pick up 65-mile-an-hour wind in South Dakota. Critical fire damage for South Dakota. Chicago faces 6 inches of snow and dangerous travel on Monday. Keep your head on a swivel, no surprises, right? "12 inches of lake-heavy snow effect for Indiana and Michigan." Hey. Volcanic ash from 1912 eruption over Kodiak, Alaska. Wow. Anyway, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. I don't know how I feel about that. About Twitch locking your orientation on your phone. So if you turn it sideways, it stays straight up. That seems like a dumb decision. Anyway, y'all have a great day.